Today we're going to be talking about preparing for growth. So why should businesses plan for growth?
Well, I suppose it's the old adage, I can never remember if it's 5 Ps or 6 Ps, but perfect planning prevents beep poor performance. I think any investment that you can make in terms of time spent planning, preparing for growth will reduce the risk of it going wrong. It will speed up the process of actually growing your business, whatever option that you decide to go down. And we'll be talking about some of those options shortly. But also it gives you an opportunity to explore all of the different funding options, the growth options, etc., and choose the one that's most appropriate for your business at that particular point in time.
Yeah, definitely from our point of view, preparing and planning for growth, it's always the best way to do it, is to have a structure and definitely one where you're looking at what are your key business growth indicators, where your growth markets are you looking for, and using those as your template to track, monitor, tweak, and ultimately measure your performance. It's all key to having that plan. Is the best format of how you will grow your business, essentially.
Yeah, I think the more time you can spend doing a SWOT analysis, strengths, weakness, opportunities and threats of your growth plan, the more opportunities you'll have to mitigate the risks, but also take advantage of the opportunities. So yeah, plenty of time needed beforehand coming up with a plan that you can stick to, but also adapt as things change.
Yeah, for me the key thing, as I said, the business growth indicators, drill down into your business and understand what are the keys to your business and how are you looking to grow, what measures are you looking to focus on to show the growth that's being facilitated. And doing that, it's best to liaise with both your internal team and sometimes an external advisor that can add value to what you're trying to do, which is what we've done both internally for ourselves and a number of our clients. Particularly looking at the consequences of growing in terms of funding, as Andy mentioned, understanding where your pressure points may be if you do grow is a real key area to look at, so you can get the facilities in place ready to accommodate any growth, really, particularly in your cash flow.
Okay, and why do you think businesses generally go on a growth journey?
A variety of reasons, really. I suppose the most obvious one is, if you do increase your turnover, then in theory, and it is a very big in theory, you should be able to make more profits. But what you often see, and I guess this boils down to the lack of planning and the lack of preparation, what you often see is businesses grow, the business owner gets more busy, has to sometimes employ more people to cope with the extra demand. Sometimes you'll see what you thought were fixed costs increase. So actually at the end of the day, you're killing yourself, but actually you're not making any more profit. And if you're tying up more capital in things like buildings, equipment, stock, work in progress, debtors, because you're extending credit to your new customers, whilst you might be standing still from a profit perspective, actually you might be reducing your cash levels and therefore causing problems to the other parts of the business as well. And that's why it's really key to have the plans in place before you start on this journey. So you need to be happy that the growth route that you're going down will ultimately either increase your own personal wealth because the company is more valuable, more saleable, more attractive to third parties to purchase, or your profits are increasing, which means you can pay yourself or your team a higher remuneration than you're currently experiencing. Or it may be that you're wanting to go on a growth journey because the business as it currently stands is taking up too much of your time, eating into your personal family life, and you feel that a period of growth will enable you to recruit people that can take some of the workload and some of the strain off your shoulders. So there's a whole variety of reasons. And another reason that's becoming more and more prevalent at the moment is securing supply chains. So, I think Brexit, COVID, etc. has shown many businesses how vulnerable they are to problems within the supply chain. So if you can grow your business by buying a key supplier, then in theory it secures your supplies for the future and reduces risk.
Yeah, thanks Andy, some really key points there. I also think one of the things I've been seeing recently is people are on a growth journey really to secure not only suppliers as Andy mentioned, but there seems to be a shortage of talent out there, so people are looking at growths, particularly acquisitive growths, to bring in experience and key staff where they're struggling to recruit. So we're kind of seeing that as a growth as a reason for growth. We're also seeing, because of the situation, unfortunately some competitors have gone to the wall, so we're seeing companies growing because their market percentage has grown and they've got an opportunity to expand into that area. And as Andy said, people looking to grow and to buy a complementary business and maybe diversify some of their offering. There's been another area that people are looking at post-COVID, just to kind of lessen their reliance on one sort of sector, one sort of type of transactional business.
Okay. And how do businesses grow?
So there's some really obvious routes to growth. Probably the simplest, least risk route is organic growth. So it's either finding more customers or selling more to existing customers. A quicker but much higher risk route would be, we've already mentioned on several occasions, would be an acquisition. So looking at a supplier, a competitor, something with similar sort of customers in similar sectors, etc., and buying them. That gives you a much quicker boost to your turnover, but there are clearly risks associated with acquiring a business that you've never been particularly involved with previously. Are the skeletons in the closet that the vendor's not telling you about? Which is why you've got to make sure that you go through the correct due diligence procedures before doing any acquisitions, whether it be legal due diligence, HR, financial, etc. Another way to grow is by producing new products, new services that you've not dealt with previously. Again, riskier than organic growth, so you've got to make sure you've got the correct market research in place, speak to existing customers, suppliers, etc. Are they going to be interested in these new products and services? How much are they going to be prepared to pay for them? When would they be interested in these products and services? Another route is opening in new geographical areas. So you're selling the same products and services, but in a location that you're not currently selling into. So that could be opening a new office, it could be a new shop, a new factory, etc. Different levels of risk with that approach. So if you're opening a new office in a location where you already have several customers, etc., then lower risk than if you're opening up somewhere completely new and hoping that customers walk through your door. There's also exporting. So if you're selling products that may be of interest to markets outside of your current marketplace, the UK for example, then you're obviously opening yourself up to lots more potential clients if you look to export. We've obviously gone through or are currently going through Brexit, which makes exporting into the EU slightly more complicated and expensive. So again, you've got to do plenty of planning and research before you go down that route. And I suppose the final one that I can think of is franchising. So you've got a successful business model with an established team and an established marketing system. You know, you've got a conveyor belt of inquiries into the business. Why not sell those systems to people who are looking to get into your sector but don't have the skills, the experience or the funds to start up as an entirely brand new business? So lots of different options there, and I guess the key is to identify which one is the most appropriate to your business and your current lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, I think Andy's covered up most bases there. I mean, for me, the only other one would be to say that e-commerce and a lot of the world's, you know, gone to through this sort of situation. People are going exploring the more online selling opportunities, maybe creating online courses or online services, or expanding their market share that way. So it's another developing area where people are looking to grow. Outside of that, we've covered a lot of those areas.
Okay. And what implications should business owners think about?
Definitely from my side of it, it's getting your funding right, you know, making sure you prepare your facilities, your banking facilities. Do you need more plant, do you need more equipment? Looking at those acquisitions before you're ready to grow is having those key things in place. Particularly having a well-funded structure, so you're not having to go to banks on a short-term notice or any lenders on a short-term notice to say, well, I need some cash because I'm growing. It's always better to have a plan in order to understand where your cash point pressures are going to be. You know, that for me is critical, is getting your funding right and growth. Also, in terms of making sure you can get the talent to help you grow, you need to have a team behind you to help you facilitate any growth. Are there any areas in your business where you've got weaknesses? Andy said about doing a strengths, opportunities, threats, a SWOT analysis. You need to fill the gaps really, ready for you to go forward, and you need to have those building blocks in place before you start growing.
Yeah, I think if your business is currently turning over £1 million a year and you have aspirations to turn it into a £10 million business, then you need people in your team that are capable of running a £10 million business before you get to that level. And therein lies one of the challenges, because it may be that you're having to employ extra people before you're generating the extra turnover, whether it be before you go through the acquisition or the organic growth, and that's expensive. So again, it all boils down to the financial modelling, and you know, at what stage should you bring this new talent in? You don't want them in too early because it's expensive, but you don't want to leave it too late because you want to be able to hit the ground running when the business has grown or expanded. There may be funding available in terms of grants. The government and the LEPs, the local enterprise partnerships, are very keen to help businesses in certain sectors grow, particularly if it means the generating employment, etc. So it's really important that you're talking to someone who understands what grants are available, as well as traditional funding from banks, etc. You know, do you fund the growth through debt or equity? That's something else that you need to think long and hard about. If you're opening a new office or a new warehouse, etc., will it be loss-making initially? If it is loss-making, what are those losses going to be? Can the existing part of the business fund those losses, or do you need to get help from a funder? And I suppose the other thing to think about is, do you have the systems in place to cope with the extra turnover, you know, the extra transactions going through your books and records? if you're doubling the number of customers you've got, you're going to be doubling the amount of credit control that you have to do. So does your current team have the capacity to do that, or do you need to get new people on board before the growth happens, or do people need training or redeploying? Again, it just boils down to the first point of how important it is to come up with a plan and make sure you're adapting that plan as you are either successful or unsuccessful in your growth.
Yeah, I guess for me it's also, if you are looking to go from 1 million to 10 million, how are you going to get there? What areas are you going to look at? It's ideal to identify, advertise your customer avatars that will get you facilitate that growth. So it's really important to look at your sales and marketing side of the business in order to start the growth process immediately. You need to start a pipeline of business to grow. So you need to put things in place that can help push you forward, get you in those markets, get you to meet the customers that you want to sell more to, or look at ways to cross-sell to your original customer base. All keys what you will need to be looking at when you're looking to grow.
Yeah, something we haven't really mentioned yet is financial information, management information. It's always vital that businesses have reliable, timely, up-to-date, ideally real-time financial information at their fingertips, so that they know how the business is performing, they know what the cash forecast position is for the next month, 6 months, year, and it needs to be in a format that enables the business owner to make quick decisions that impact on the financial viability of the business. So, waiting until the business grows to get that in place might be too late. So it's really important that business owners have their fingers on the financial pulse of the business and know exactly how it's performing, and whether there's any cash difficulties or blips on the horizon that need to be prepared for. Because as Sean alluded to earlier, if you can talk to your funding bank manager before the event and explain what the difficulty is going to be, or maybe if certain things happen, these are the reasons, these are the things you put in place to make sure it doesn't happen again, and much more likely to be able to help than if you're knocking on the door at 3 o'clock on a Friday saying, can't afford to pay the wages this month, will you help?
Yeah, absolutely critical in my experience. A lender, even a grant provider, will need timely management information. And as we said at the outset, when you're looking to put a plan together, you need information in order to measure against your plans, and you need to make quick decisions if things aren't going right, how to put them right, or whether you need to slightly adapt what you're doing. So absolutely one of the key building blocks, timely management information. Without that, you're just fishing you're something in the dark.
Walking around
You're walking around in the dark. Yeah, without that, you're walking around in the dark. And no funder will take you credit.
Yeah, so do the people in your business have the skills and the experience to produce regular, timely, accurate financial information, or do you need to outsource it to a firm of accountants like 360? Have you got a finance director? Can you afford a finance director? Probably if you're turning over 10 million, I would hope you are in a position to be able to afford a finance director. If your turnover's $1 million or under, possibly not. So, where can we get this regular financial advice, assistance from, etc. in the interim? And again, talking to your accountant, talking to 360, we have experience of helping business owners get from A to B, giving them the support that they need until the business is in a position where they can do that stuff in-house. So yeah, lots of things to think about during the growth planning and the actual process of growing the business or going through the acquisition route.
Growing a business can be risky and stressful. What should business owners consider in this respect?
Well, I guess for me, as we've mentioned throughout this, is have they got the resources internally in order to do this? I mean, adding something onto a business where you're a business owner, you're under pressure and piling this on top of your otherwise full diary is really tough. So having an internal team that can support you on this, or an external stakeholder to help you, absolutely key to help you on your growth journey. Otherwise, have you got the time to look what you're doing or facilitate the growth? The time is an absolute killer if you haven't got it. You need time to put into any growth plan to make it work.
Yeah, growing a business is brutal. We know that from personal experience. So you've got to be aware of the amount of time that is involved in growing a business. You've got to be happy that you've got that time to commit, or are there things that you're doing currently that you can delegate to someone else or stop doing altogether in order to free up the time to make sure this journey is successful. You need buy-in from friends and family as well. If you're going to be acquiring a business that's going to mean that for 6 months you're going to be working until 8, 9 o'clock each evening, that's going to have a big impact on your family life. And are your family happy with that? Is it worth it at the end of the day? If you go through this journey and you haven't seen your kids for 6 months, you've grown the business, but at the end of it all, you're making less profit and you've got less cash, then clearly it wasn't worth it. So you've got to be absolutely certain that the tough journey that you're going to go on, you will reap the rewards from it at the end. Working in a high growth business is very stressful, so you need people in the team who can work through a business that's encountering inevitable growing pains. Things will go wrong. You need positive people who are all pulling in the same direction and are prepared to roll the sleeves up when things inevitably go wrong, because they will. No matter how much planning you put in, the more planning you put in place, the less likelihood there is of things going wrong. But even a perfect plan goes wrong occasionally. And if you're surrounded by people who are prepared to deal with these issues in a positive way, roll the sleeves up until things are fixed, and clearly it's going to be a more successful journey than if you haven't got those people around you.
Yeah, I guess for me, the way we've done it at 360, we've communicated our vision, our growth plans to the team. I say team, I don't say staff, I don't say colleagues, because it's a team event, as Andy said. Without team buy-in and without the team understanding what you're trying to do, it'll just work. It'll just hamper your growth plans and cause you inevitable problems. So communicating your vision, your goal to the team and getting their buy-in is absolutely critical. It's a critical part of any growth journey.
Yeah, and if they can see the rewards for the business and for them in going on this journey, then clearly it's going to be easier to get them to buy into the process than if they can't see the rewards and the benefits. So engaging in the team as part of the planning process is really important, I think.
Yeah, and factoring anything like that, and staff rewards, team rewards or team bonuses into your growth plan, it again just communicates that a bit more to anybody you're trying to involve into trying to help you into growing the business.
Okay, then any final tips?
I suppose from my perspective, ask for help. I think successful business owners and people that have grown businesses successfully surround themselves with people that are better than them at the things they're not good at. So whether it be financial, HR, marketing, training, whatever it may be, just surround yourself with people that are better than you. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Talk to people that have been through growth processes. Talk to people that have acquired businesses. What went well, what went wrong, what lessons did they learn. Again, planning. Talk to as many different people who've been through the process as possible. I think sticking to business or businesses that you know clearly reduces the risk than if you're moving into new products and services, new sectors, different types of customer bases. Doing something that you know and understand is clearly less risky than doing something completely new, completely left field. I think my final tip is, before you do go on the growth journey, make sure you're as fit and healthy, both physically and mentally, as you possibly can be, because it is going to be a tough few months, and you know, at the end of the day, you don't want to kill yourself. There's no point growing your business to 10 million turnover if you're dead. So, you know, look after yourself and make sure you're in ship shape before you go on this journey, because you might not have the time to do it mid-journey.
Yeah, and I guess for me, is also don't beat yourself up if things start to go wrong. As Andy said, you need to speak to people, don't be afraid to actually talk to people about any challenges you've got, both internally and externally. Because everything won't go always to plan. I mean, if it does, that's fantastic. But if it doesn't, don't really get down on yourself. You know, ask for advice or speak to people and see what can happen to change that. And I guess the other thing that we tend to tell businesses anyway is, if you're looking at growth, make sure it's not just turnover. Make sure it's actually cash in the bottom line where it's coming in. You know, turnover, vanity, profit, sanity, but cash is reality. And at the end of the day, if you're looking to grow your business, you should be growing your business in the right way. And ultimately, you should have the cash reserves in order to do things such as, you know, grow even further, acquire other businesses, or even to take more cash out for yourself.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for growth these next few years. You know, as we come out of COVID, as we get our heads around Brexit, as competitors struggle to adapt, change, etc., there's going to be a whole host of opportunities to grow. And at 360, we'd love to help business owners on that journey. You know, we've been through the journey ourselves. You know, we're only we're now 11 years old, so we've very recently been through the process of growing our business, starting up, growing, you know, building a fantastic team, buying our first offices, second offices, doing a few acquisitions, you know, getting funding in place for that. You know, we know what it's like to wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat, panicking about something. We've made mistakes and we've learned from them, and you know, we love helping our clients to make sure that they don't make the same mistakes, so that they can go through the journey that we've been through quicker and more smoothly than perhaps we have. You know, we've systemised our business. We've pretty much done it all, other than exited. But we've helped many clients exit very successfully, and you know, in a very financially rewarding way. So, you know, I hate the phrase "cradle to the grave," but we have pretty much been through that process ourselves, or helped our clients in that respect. And it's what we enjoy doing the most, is helping high growth businesses grow even more, as painlessly as possible, and just help business owners sleep a little bit more easily at night.
So thank you both. Keep an eye out for any future videos and content on preparing for growth.